The museum's zoological collections as a whole were started in 1855 by the 13th Earl of Derby. They would have included some insects, but we don't know exactly what we had at that time, and we've got very scattered information about what was in the collections before the Second World War. A lot of the museum collections were evacuated during the war, but the insects were one of the few that remained in the building. And during the May Blitz of 1941, the museum was hit by an incendiary bomb, and pretty much all of the insects we had at that time were completely destroyed. With help from a really dedicated team of volunteers, we've been rebuilding our collections ever since, and we're now one of the largest insect collections in the UK. The collections are often used by researchers, both professional and amateur entomologists, used as a reference resource for comparative identification, and also by people who are collecting data on where insects occur and where they've been found in the past.
Right. Here at World Museum, we've got about 500,000 insects just in these two rooms up here, and there's specimens from all over the world, but a lot from Britain, and there are some very tiny ones, some very large ones, colourful, shiny, strange, you name it, we've got an insect to meet your expectations. For example, in this drawer here we have the moth with the largest wingspan in the world. It's 26 centimetres across, but what's really interesting is that its body is quite small. It's found from South America through to the southern United States, and one of the other interesting features about it is that because moths rest with their wings flat, then the top part is camouflage, whereas the underside is surprisingly brightly coloured. Sometimes you can get hundreds of insects in a drawer, but our largest specimen needs a drawer entirely to itself. It's 17 inches across from leg to leg, and it's a giant stick insect from Malaysia, and it's a beautiful camouflage. I've never seen it alive, but it must be marvellous to do so. In this drawer we've got the Queen Alexandra's birdwing butterfly. Now that's the biggest butterfly in the world. It's only found in a small part of Papua New Guinea, so it's an endangered species. Now obviously we don't go around these days killing butterflies such as that, but a museum like this looks after historic specimens so that people can come in and see exactly what it really looks like. An example of some of the smallest insects we have are in this drawer. They're leafhoppers, and they were collected by quite a famous person in the world of leafhoppers. It's called Walter Lecain, and he spent his life just studying this particular group of insects. Beetles are the most successful insect group in the world. There are 335,000 different species, 4,000 species in Britain alone. But the largest beetle of all is from Central Africa, and it's called the Goliath beetle, and it has a lovely Latin name, Goliathus giganteus. Isn't that marvellous? It lives as a larva inside rotting wood, and as a beetle it's quite harmless, but if you did do something silly like put your finger in its jaws, it can snap a matchstick. Another very large beetle we have is the Hercules beetle, which comes from India and the Far East. Now that one has huge, great protuberances at the front of its head, and it actually wrestles, the males wrestle each other, and the aim is to turn your opponent on his back, so you can then run off with the female. The most beautiful and iridescent insect that we have, without any doubt, is the morpho butterfly from South America. Beautiful shimmering plate of blue, magnificent insects. But of course, they use that to attract mates, and they only do that when they're flying around in the daytime. When they sleep, they hold their wings together, so the underside are brown and camouflaged.
Specimens without data are valueless. They're just insects. Whenever specimens are collected, full data is collected at the same time, such as in this country grid references, working abroad, latitude and longitude, and very often in a lot of cases habitat labels are also produced, and then once a specimen is identified, then what we call a determination label is put underneath with the species name.